King Charles changes tour plans over Doc's fears H's doing too much after cancer battle. King Charles and wife Camilla will tour Australia and Samoa, but a hoped visit to New Zealand is likely to be shelved, one insider told us. It will be a bitter disappointment on both sides. The King and Queen are set to scale back their trip down under over Doc's fears Charles is doing too much. He and wife Camilla will tour Australia and Samoa, but a hoped visit to New Zealand is likely to be shelved. One insider told us, it will be a bitter disappointment on both sides. Charles, who is continuing to receive weekly treatment for cancer after being diagnosed in February, only returned to public duties at the end of April. The King, 75, had vowed to make up for lost time after being forced to scale back, but is being urged to rein in his commitments. The royal tour will incorporate a visit to the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in the island nation of Samoa. Seen as a hugely significant trip for Charles. But sources say the Australia leg of the tour will be scaled back to around 6 days, with a break lasting up to 2 days before the King and Queen travel to Samoa for 3 days. Charles and Camilla last visited Australia in 2018 to celebrate the Commonwealth Games hosted on the Gold Coast. The couple also visited in November 2012, as part of a visit to Papua New Guinea, Australia, and New Zealand on behalf of the Queen of each respective realm in the year of the Queen's Diamond Jubilee. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex tour of Australia, New Zealand, Fiji and Tonga in October 2018 is considered to be the last major tour of the combined region by a member of the royal family. As Prince of Wales, the King has visited New Zealand 10 times, 3 of those being with the Queen when she was Duchess of Cornwall. The couple were last in New Zealand for a tour lasting 6 days in November 2019, before undertaking a 3-day visit to the Solomon Islands. One insider said, "Naturally, it will be a bitter disappointment on both sides to not have the opportunity for the King and Queen to visit New Zealand. But of course all are aware of the King's ongoing health and the need for him to pace himself. It's very much hoped there will be further opportunities in the future." The King spent 3 nights in hospital for an enlarged prostate in January, before receiving a secondary diagnosis of a form of cancer the following month. He has been undergoing weekly treatment which is understood to last several more months. Meanwhile, the race is now hotting up between Australian states and territories vying to host Charles and Camilla during their visit. Buckingham Palace has not confirmed any information, but officials are now working with the federal government down under to finalize the royal couple's itinerary in the coming weeks. Competition is rife between government and charitable organizations following guidance from Buckingham Palace that there will be a dramatic reduction in the number of engagements owing to the King's health. The King's visit to Australia will be the first time a sovereign has visited the country since Queen Elizabeth II in 2011. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said planning was already underway on the logistics of a possible visit. The King has shown his compassion for Australians affected by recent natural disasters, just as Australians have shown compassion and support for the King following his cancer diagnosis, he said. The King, Queen and members of the royal family are always welcome in Australia. The King has a long connection with Australia, extending from his time attending Geelong Grammar. when he attended the Timbertop campus of the school for one term in 1966. Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles said, "There is an affection for King Charles. I know King Charles has a deep affection for Australia." Sources in the country say state and territory leaders have been asked to deliver bids to host the royals aligned with two main themes. Charles's first visit to Australia as king and his deep interest in climate and sustainability. Queensland's proposed royal itinerary is understood to include a visit to Prince Charles Hospital in Brisbane, a trip to the Gold Coast and then north to Cairns, where the King would meet those impacted by January's devastating flooding event in the wake of Cyclone Jasper. The suggested itinerary includes a visit to Lizard Island, an hour's flight north of the tropical city, where they have been offered the use of a luxury home and cottage, owned by Racing Queensland chairman Stephen Wilson. Since 1867, the British royal family has visited Australia more than 50 times, with only 6 visits before 1954. Elizabeth II is the first and only reigning monarch of Australia to have set foot on Australian soil. She first did so on 3 February 1954, when she was 27 years old. During her 16 journeys, the Queen visited every Australian state and the 2 major territories. Royal sources say the King, as current head of the Commonwealth after being voted in to succeed his mother, the late Queen Elizabeth II, when he acceded the throne, has been absolutely determined to attend CHOAM in Samoa. A palace source said, "Planning for an autumn tour continues, but subject to doctor's advice and any necessary modifications." Buckingham Palace did not comment.